What's up everyone, I'm your Thinking Cap Benji and welcome back to Meta Moves. The very first double game week of the season is here and today I'm covering all of the essential topics including the best chip strategies for the 24 double. I also go in depth on Everton and why you cannot ignore their assets. I'll run you through my most preferred Liverpool triple up, and to finish things off we're going to have a discussion around the current midfielder meta, Kluivert, Mbeumo and much more. Thinking Cap activated. When we get a double in FPL, I'm always super excited because assets who have that extra fixture offer significantly more point potential than the usual single game week asset. Last season, the two biggest scores recorded were both in double game weeks, Gvardiol with a 27-pointer and Mateta with a 29-pointer. That's the level of point potential on offer in double game weeks. So my first piece of advice is do not hold back buying doublers this week, even if they play for Everton. We're only projected to have 3 doubles this season, including the one in 24, which is why I'm strongly recommending an aggressive investment policy. The type of upside Everton and Liverpool players offer won't be available until the next double in 33. So if there's any time in FPL to use your free transfers, it's got to be now. Historically, doubles create higher variance, which can cause significant swings to your rank, but with my help, you'll find navigating 24 pretty easy. The first thing you need to decide on is what chip you're going to play in 24, if any, and the knock-on effect of that chip in regards to your long-term team strategy. The chip plan above all of the other ones is my personal chip strategy. I believe the new assistant manager chip is the most OP chip and it should be prioritized ahead of all other chips. I want to play it in the 36 double because there's potential to target teams on the beach who aren't fighting for anything, and there's a chance for some of those on the beach teams to offer table bonus upside. I'm also getting extra fixtures in all of the last 3 game weeks of the season, which just feels great, and I'm getting to use my AM chip in a much bigger double compared to 24. That means more AM options than just Arne slot and David Moyes. I'm currently bench boosting in the 33 double because a lot of cheap assets will likely have extra fixtures, making bench boost more viable. And last episode, I did have my free hit planned for the blank game week in 34. I've actually now changed that. Instead, I'm free hitting in the 29 blank because for me to navigate a blank in 29 with no chips and to also be tasked with building an optimal bench boost team for 33, it's just so messy. It's too detrimental to my long-term squad depth. So I'm just not going to worry at all about the 29 blank. I'm going to play my free hit then. I further also believe that the blank in 34, I don't think it's going to be that big. I think it's actually going to be a little bit smaller than most people are expecting. So if I can dead end my team into 33 for the bench boost with some free transfers carried into 34, I'll be able to not only navigate both blanks successfully, but I'll also have a meta wildcard team to attack the final few weeks. Now, this strategy places my triple captain firmly on Mo Salah in 24. Now, I'm not going to discuss the in-depths in triple captaincy too much as I've got a special video coming all about triple captaincy later this week, but either way, I think this is our chance. Those of us who have saved triple captain up until this point, we were waiting for one of these random double game weeks to happen and we got it with Liverpool Everton. We got super lucky in the fact that it is landed on Salah, who's the top scoring premium in the game right now. Look, it's not the best fixtures for Salah, Bournemouth away, Everton away, triple cap, but my analysis still suggests he's got mega return potential in 24, and I'm 95% locked on using it in this double. So why is my chip strategy optimization score at 100% compared to the other ones who are much lower? And that's because in the 3 projected doubles, I'll be using 3 attacking chips in the form of triple cap in 24, bench boost in 33, and assistant manager in 36. The 2 remaining chips are the only ones you can use defensively as a shield, and that's my plan. I want to be free hitting in one of the 2 blank game weeks, which optimizes my long-term squad balance, my long-term squad potential, and my long-term free transfer balance. And finally, I plan to use my second wildcard along with my free transfers, which should be more than enough to navigate past that second blank game week in 34. So with this strat, I'm covered in all of the blanks. I'm attacking strongly all of the doubles. And if you've got 5 out of 5 chips remaining like me, then I'd strongly suggest this pathway. I'll caveat by saying chip strategy is very team dependent. It depends on what your team is, what chips you have left. And for those of you who have already used Triple Captain, because I know many people have actually used Triple Captain earlier in the season on Haaland, there's two pathways you could go down now. Number one is you do not use a chip in 24. You go super hard on the doubles, go for like 6 doublers, and you remain with the same pathway that I have for the remainder of the season. And I do think that's probably the better strategy. Or you could go for a differential chip strategy by using the assistant manager chip this week, which would mean no free hit in the blanks, which means you probably have to use your free hit in 33 because you need to optimize the double game weeks. That's where the points potential is. The reason I'm suggesting for those of you who don't have Triple Captain to not use a chip in this double is because this double only has one extra fixture compared to the other doubles, which will be more, they'll be bigger, there's going to be bigger upside in them. Like, of course, this double has upside, but the only realistic option for a chip you can play this week is using the assistant manager chip. And if you went down that pathway, you would navigate 34 using wildcard, and then you would bench boost in 36 double, which is, look, both of them are good options, but I'd lean towards not playing a chip in the double because AM in 36 to 38, has serious upside with the on the beach potential, and I think honestly free hit is better utilized in a defensive manner in one of the two blank game weeks. If you're leaning towards using AM in 24, as I know some of you will be, it's still a high expected value pathway, although the optimization score is a little bit lower because the game week 24 AM options, they're not that great. You only got 2 options, and also you're using money as well as free transfers on the assistant manager chip all the way up until game week 26. That just leaves you 3 game weeks to navigate the 29 blank without a chip. Because remember, because you're AM in 24, you have to use a chip in the 33 double, and the only chip you can use in there is free hit. So it's tougher to navigate. Your free transfer balance will be depleted 30 onwards. The majority of managers are also targeting a bench boost in 33. You're gonna have the free hit, so you're gonna have fewer fixtures versus the rest of the field who will be on bench boost. But overall, I think all 3 of these chip strategies look to offer some pretty big upside. Pick your poison. And just on double game week 24 captaincy, my current polls estimate around 35% of engaged managers will use their triple captain on Salah, which means if you captain Salah normally, you're losing to the field. If you captain someone else other than Salah, you're going against what will be the highest effective ownership we've seen all season, the highest EO we've seen on a player this season. And that leaves just one way to gain from most Salah points in this double triple captaincy. Our last 3 sleeper picks have delivered returns for all of their new owners, and all 3 of them double this week. Gakpo returned his biggest ever haul, Alisson got a 9-pointer recently, and Ndiaye is being bought by hundreds of thousands after scoring in back-to-back games since recommendation. Considering how all of them did so well, it does put the pressure on our game week 24 sleeper pick, the Toffee Tarkowski. It would have felt wrong to be heading into an Everton double without recommending Taco. Everton's defensive kept the second most clean sheets so far with 8. They're averaging 1.3 XGC per game, which has them situated as the 8th best defense based off that metric. Everton's backline is levels above the relegated teams. Let's make that clear. They've kept tons of cleans this season and last season, and despite going through a manager change, Everton don't seem to have lost any defensive prowess. Moyes inherited an excellent backline from Dyche, and it's not like there's a big difference in the management styles comparing the two. So for me, there's no visible regression in that defense. Still very targetable in a double, which includes Leicester at home, who've conceded the highest number of headed shot attempts out of all teams so far this season. Tarkowski is the main target from set pieces as he boasts the best shot volume out of all Everton defenders. The Toffees rank second best behind Arsenal from attacking set pieces this campaign, and considering how targetable Leicester are, I'd seriously consider Taco. Compared to all of the other Everton defenders, Taco boasts the second highest XGI per 90, only Mykolenko has stronger underlyings, and most of his XGI is expected assists. So in theory, Taco's got the highest goal potential for these Everton defenders. He's yet to deliver 1 GA this season, but historically, Tarkowski's returned minimum 1 goal in 6 straight seasons. Just because he's on 0 GA now doesn't mean he'll finish on that at the end of the season, and at under 2% ownership, he's a doubler I'd give some serious thought to. After talking Taco, I know there'll be a few of you thinking, come on Benji, Everton have Leicester at home, which, okay, it's okay, and then it's Liverpool. I mean, it's going to be maximum 1 to 2 extra points for these Everton players. they're going to get smashed against Liverpool, bro. There's no upside in Everton, bro. Pointless transfers, bro. Look, I get that perspective, but last season, Everton had a double of Forest at home and Liverpool at home. Taco walked away with 13 points. Pickford came out with 18 points, and Jared Branthwaite smashed a 20-pointer, 2 clean sheets, 1 goal, and a bucket load of bonus. So if you want to write off serious upside doublers who are all low ownership, then feel free to do so. I will be not making that mistake myself. Look, of course, Everton could get thrashed, but their historical performance in that similar double last year shows that there's massive upside with Everton picks, and further, it's potentially dangerous to disregard investment. Now, most of these Everton players don't have a lifespan in the meta after Double Game Week 24, so you need to have exit plans ready in 25, or you need to put yourself in a position where you can bench them in the short term because they're not elite assets in general. How many Everton assets for the double? For sure, own minimum two, go for 3 if you're in a really good spot or if you need to chase, but personally I'm going 2, maybe 3, depending on how risky I feel later in the week. I've categorized all of the viable options into 2 brackets, the mid options and the meta options. Players ranked at the top are my most preferred and the players at the bottom are my least preferred. The best Everton asset by far, I think, is David Moyes. In my opinion, he's clear of Arne Slot for the AM chip in 24, who I'm going to discuss in depth in the next section. But for me, I like Moyes because it's 2 home fixtures, including a promoted team. The club's on a little bit of a manager bounce with Moyes heading into that derby, and Moyes obviously offers the table bonus potential if he gets a draw or a win against Liverpool. Add that in with Leicester, and it's a pretty tasty AM. But for me, it's just not tasty enough. I think the upside's there, 36 to 38, as you know. If you are going to go with your AM chip, my personal recommendation would be to go for David Moyes and ignore Arne Slot. In my opinion, Moyes is the best doubling manager on offer. I've already got Mykolenko. I'm pretty high on him. Moyes is playing this back 4, which can easily move into a back 5 dependent on game state. This slight formation change has pushed Mykolenko into more of an attacking wing-back role, where he's seen higher involvement in the attacking third, more touches, more involvement in decisive actions, and at 4.4 million, he's the perfect double game week option who you can just play this week and then perma bench medium term. We were the very first, I think we were the very first on the Ndiaye train all those weeks ago, and now he's on pens with Calvert-Lewin's injury. I love him for the double, but I would just caution, do not buy him now because Ndiaye went off against Brighton with an injury. I'm waiting until press conferences to confirm his fitness. If declared fit, I'm probably buying him. My third favorite is someone you're not going to hear anyone mention, and that's Abdoulaye Doucoure, priced at 5.1 million in the midfield. Yes, he's got 0 GA this season, but Dyche played him super deep for the majority of this season, and Moyes has reintroduced Doucoure back at number 10. Of course, Doucoure will have some defensive workload, but under Moyes, his average position has been way more advanced, with him playing much closer to goal. Why am I recommending this guy if he has 0 GA? You've got to remember, guys, that most Everton assets, especially the attackers, only have 1 game week within the meta. So Doucoure shouldn't be starting for any of you longer term than 24. We're looking to predict Everton goal involvement across the next 2 games, right? That's all we're looking to do. And as I said with Taco, just because Doucoure has failed to return anything this season doesn't mean he's a poor option for the double. In his last 7 seasons, Doucoure's never returned less than 5 GA. His last season, he actually scored 7 goals. And with Calvert-Lewin out, I expect Moyes to give Doucoure even more attacking license because Beto stinks. I think Doucoure could even play as a shadow striker. That's how much upside I really do think Doucoure's had. Now, obviously, he's not on any set pieces, but his minutes have been great under Moyes so far, and historically, Doucoure's points history against promoted teams is really solid, returning 3 GA in his last 4 home starts. Although his home history against Liverpool isn't anything to scream home about, it's still more positive than any of the other Everton attackers, with Doucoure returning twice from 7 home starts in the Merseyside derby at Goodison. So yeah, look, I like the Doucoure punt for the double, but only for the double. Pickford's probably got the best chance to stay in the power curve for a few weeks, considering he is the second highest scoring goalie right now, and Leicester at home is a potential clean sheet fixture. The reason I've got Pickford lower down is because although Everton are a good defense, I don't think permaplay Pickford is amazing long-term, especially with Everton's schedule post-game week 30. That includes Liverpool away, Arsenal at home, Forest away, Man City at home, and then Chelsea at home. But if you're planning on selling him before that, or if you're planning to go for Pickford as part of a keeper rotation pairing, then I think he would be a good option for you, but you've got to be able to deal with him after 30. The best Liverpool players for the double is something that's been highly discussed by most of the content creators, so I'll try to speed through this one. What I'm going to do is provide my perspective on Liverpool assets and their double using the same mid and meta tier list that I used for Everton. First off, Salah, Trent, no-brainers for obvious reasons, but the third Liverpool spot is up for debate. I should probably mention now that if you're already tripled up on Liverpool, then it's not worth making another free transfer to take one of them out and going for a different one, unless the Liverpool player you own is sitting in the mid bracket. Now, I've actually ranked two of Liverpool's defenders above the attacker options in Gakpo and Diaz. Looking at the Everton fixture, as much as I don't rate Calvert-Lewin, I do believe there's a big drop-off from him down to Beto in terms of pressing and hold-up play. That Calvert-Lewin injury increases Liverpool's clean sheet odds in that derby. Liverpool are the second best statistical defense in the league. They're also top 2 throughout Europe, only conceding twice in the Champions League this season. So long-term, you're investing in an elite defensive unit, and on the side, you're getting boosted clean sheet odds due to Everton's weakened attack. The Bournemouth fixture is a completely different story. Iraola's attack ranks 3rd best in the league for total XG, and Bournemouth have taken points from Newcastle, Man City, and Arsenal at home. So I do have the respect for the Bournemouth as a tough fixture, but Enes Ünal plus Evan Nilsson are injured long term. Yes, the Bournemouth attack has still performed superbly recently, scoring 9 goals in their last 2, but I'd still back out of position Dango Ouattara to struggle in at 9 against Konate and Virgil van Dijk. For me, I see boosted clean sheet potential in both fixtures for Liverpool, which is why I've got Alisson and Konate ahead of the 2 attacker options. Big Verge, as always, a very great option. His historical record in doubles is superb as he always manages to get a goal, but long term his price is the concern, and I prefer both Konate and Alisson, who are way cheaper. Now, let's talk about Arne Slot and the assistant manager chip, and I just refuse to recommend him. The most important reason why I really hate it on Arne Slot is because Liverpool's outfield players could still do well even if they don't win both games in the double. Bournemouth could be a 0-0. Everton could be a 3-3. What I'm trying to say is that Liverpool dropping points in 24 is actually more likely than not, in my opinion. Bookies odds have 2 wins out of 2 at a 33% likelihood for Liverpool. You guys already know how highly I rate the AM chip, and there's 2 ways you can play the chip. You either go for the high points potential chasing table bonus upside, and that would be David Moyes in this situation, or you go for a good reliable team, safe team playing a really bad team, so we can get a solid chunk of points from easily predictable fixtures. Arne Slot offers no table bonus in either game, so he is the safe option to be playing a safe AM chip on Slot versus Bournemouth away, which is one of the toughest fixtures for top teams this season, followed by the final Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. The 2 wins are nowhere near secured enough for Slot, and the safe assistant manager strategy is heavily dependent on the plus 6 points for a win in a double game week. There's too many uncertainties with Slot AM, in my opinion, to play it on him. It would be a waste of what I believe is the most overpowered chip in the game right now. I prefer David Moyes AM, who looks to offer more certainty, but like I said, I'd still be saving your AMs for one of the double game weeks later on. Even though we're heading into a double game week, it's still really important to begin thinking beyond 24. I've gotten a lot of questions this week about the midfielder meta, so my power rankings have returned with all of the latest statistical updates, and at the top of the power curve for this week onwards is Brian Mbeumo. Not only is he my favorite mid in his price category, he's also my favorite mid at all price categories because he's on pens for the 8th best attack in the league from an XG perspective. Brentford's next 5 to 6 fixtures are superb, including the likes of Spurs, West Ham, and Leicester. The only mids with a better seasonal output are Salah and Cole Palmer, highlighting the value of Mbeumo even at 7.8 mil. In my opinion, he's the priority pickup if you don't own him already, and the entrance point is prime this week. For those of you asking my thoughts regarding the Gordon to Mbeumo transfer this week, I'm actually not too hot on a Gordon exit in 24. Fulham at home is a decent fixture for Newcastle attack, and let's say, for example, you've got Gordon and a Bruno Fernandes, or Gordon and an Odegaard, even a Gordon and a Foden. I'd be selling all 3 of the more expensive options to Mbeumo before selling Gordon. Yeah, Foden justified his price point in the last 6 weeks, but City's upcoming run is much tougher, and I doubt Phil stays at that same level of consistency. Bruno and Odegaard have mixed short-term fixtures, with both of them continuing to struggle justifying their 8 million price points. Look at the two of them and their seasonal output. It's disgraceful for the price you're paying. Compare that to the top prospects in both of the cheaper midfield categories, and you'll begin to understand why personally I haven't owned Bruno or Odegaard since game week 2. If you can hold on to Gordon, I really would recommend it. I really like the next 3. I think he can put up some decent returns, or at least try to hold him until we get full clarity on the Carabao Cup final, which we'll get after game week 24. But if Gordon is your only possible route to Mbeumo, then I would make that transfer this week. Moving into the cheaper bracket of meta midfielders, a group that's become extremely competitive, all because of the Bournemouth striker injuries. I'm not expecting Bournemouth to add any serious quality up front during Jan. If I'm wrong about that, then all 3 of the Bournemouth mids will drop slightly in terms of their prowess in the power curve, but my Bournemouth sources suggest attacking reinforcements are unlikely. Now, I'm really high on Bournemouth attack for 2 main reasons. Number 1, the medium-term fixture run is gorgeous. It's just gorgeous, including the likes of Southampton in 25, Wolves in 26, followed by Brighton, Spurs, Brentford, and then Ipswich in 30. The second main reason why I'm really hot on them is related to the quality of Bournemouth's attack and the prices for their attackers. Areola has his team sitting 3rd from total XG accumulated this season. Only Chelsea and Liverpool have racked up more XG so far. Now, this doesn't make Bournemouth's attack better than Newcastle's or City's or Arsenal's, but if you go into the FPL app and check the prices for first choice attackers playing at the clubs I just mentioned, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, all of those options are way more expensive than the likes of Kluivert, Semenyo, and Dango, who are currently first choice for Bournemouth. By investing in Bournemouth attack, you're accessing not only a statistically elite attack, but also a top 4 attack this season with prime permaplay fixtures. It's a no-brainer to load up on the cherries in 25, which is why all 3 Bournemouth midfielders sit top in the cheap price bracket. Now, my favorite is Kluivert. I actually picked him up and started him last game week, where he returned me a nice 13 points. Justin's the 4th highest scoring midfielder in the game right now. He's got the pens. He's returned 15 GA so far. Only Mbeumo has a better seasonal output on the power rankings. And for me, he's nailed now for Andoni Iraola. He's becoming more and more of a talisman for Bournemouth. And yeah, he might get a few early subs here and there, but being the pen taker makes up for any concerns with his minutes. As long as he continues to get the starts, he should comfortably outperform both Dango and Semenyo with the extra routes to points. I've got Dango above Semenyo right now because Dango's underlyings are a bit stronger, but long-term Semenyo is the minute man. He's 90-minute man. The explosivity that we've seen from Kluivert and Dango, I do expect Semenyo to have some similar holes of that level at some point. But honestly, I think whichever one you pick, just go for your gut. I think all of 3 of them are absolutely incredible. They offer great value. All 3 of their minutes should be great, and Bournemouth's goal involvement is going to continue to be spread across that attack because of the lack of a striker. And yeah, I think all 3 of the Bournemouth bunch will prosper in the next few weeks. I would be looking to go cherry picking very soon. Rodgers, I'd be looking to sell. I mean, he's getting flogged this season, seriously. Ahmad, someone else I would be looking to sell as well. He's been amazing, but he's going to struggle to compete versus the Areola attackers, considering we're not a very good attack. Finally, at the bottom of the midfielder meta sits Ismaila Sarr. Flashback to 5 or 6 weeks ago, I was really high on Sarr. His underlyings were excellent, and even though they've dropped off just a touch, Sarr's post-shot XG is still the 2nd highest in the cheap bracket at 0.4 per 90. Sarr's non-pen XGI is tied 2nd best with Semenyo, but new factors have regressed his long-term location in my rankings. Glasner, number 1, he's been playing Sarr much deeper, asking him to do more ball progression, which means he's not as involved in decisive actions in the box, as that's where we actually want him. We want Sarr on the end of things, but instead Glasner is having him a little bit deeper to try to get the ball, progress the ball more, because Kamada has come in and not been able to do that. And also, we have a competitor for his minutes, not Esse. This guy just scored on his debut with his first ever Premier League touch, while Sarr got the early sub at 70 minutes. Without full 90s guaranteed, Ismaila will struggle in the current meta as he lacks extra routes to points. He's not on any set pieces, not on pens, and now he doesn't have 90 minutes guaranteed. I'm an owner of Sarr and I'm 100% selling him this week or next week. If you want to find out who I end up buying, then hit subscribe. I post my team selection on YouTube Shorts every week, so make sure you're following. If you're interested in my final decision, smash a like on the video. If you've taken some insights out of this one, drop any dilemmas in the comment section, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Peace.